It's way too windy to stay here. So we're about to take off and go somewhere a little bit more calm to celebrate this exciting day.
One whole strawberry. Great.
So it's 1 year today that I have been in New Zealand, and I'm so grateful to be here. It's just been the most amazing experience. And so yeah, this video is all about New Zealand because it really has been the best. We're gonna go explore, and Joe's gonna tell you a little bit about the New Zealand wildlife. That's the reason I invited him on this trip, is to give you a little bit of insight. But side note, Joe isn't actually Kiwi. He's hoping that the New Zealand government sees this video of his great knowledge of New Zealand and gives him a passport. Is that true?
No comment.
No comment. It's so true. The cool thing about New Zealand is that when you drive somewhere, within 10 minutes the whole climate changes. It feels like you're going through many different places. It's desert to snowy mountains to crystal clear blue lakes. Now we're going to get fruit from the fruit capital of New Zealand. The other cool thing about New Zealand is that shoes are always optional. This is actually one of my first stops when I got to New Zealand a year ago. And we stopped here at this fruit place, and I was so jet-lagged, but man, really good fruit. Is there nothing on? Cherries are crazy expensive here, even though they basically grow all of them. All the fresh local produce is just ridiculous, isn't it?
Super expensive.
But so good.
Look at all these chickens.
Look at all those chickens.
When you look out into the grass, every dot is actually a bird, which is not what I expected.
I'm taking over bird talk because Joe is rubbish at it. Hey, I knew he would say that. So one of the coolest things I find about New Zealand is that the little birds, you can tell me names if you'd like.
Fantails will follow you through the forest when you're walking and eat sandflies and things that are following you. And South Island robins will sit around your camp, and when you open your tent in the morning and there's sandflies everywhere, they'll fly in and they'll eat all the sandflies.
So yeah, basically a lot of these birds at one point in their evolution were with moas, which are great big birds, and they learn from them that if they walk around when you're cooking up or rubbing your feet on the ground, that they'll probably get some sort of bug or a snack. So they actually come down when you scratch the ground around the trees when you hear them, and will come and fly and get really close to you and really friendly because they just know that they'll get a yummy snack around you. Why are there so many bird species in New Zealand?
Because when the European settlers came over to New Zealand, there's too many insects in the fields eating the crops. So they introduced loads of bird species into the fields to eat all the insects, because all of the native bird species in New Zealand prefer the bushland and the forests and didn't eat the insects from the fields. So they introduced loads of bird species. Cool fact.
This should also speak to the fact that why we're talking so much about birds in New Zealand is there's not much else native here. There's bats and insects and stuff like that, but in general there's not as much wildlife as you might see in other countries. You have like sea life and
Loads of introduced species.
yeah, loads of introduced species, but the main native species is birds, so that's why we're talking so much about them. They're also everywhere. Like anywhere you go, no matter what, you have birds in the background. So it's something you just get used to. If they're annoying for you, don't come to New Zealand. There's something about being in a place that is so full of tourists normally, but you still have the ability to just get out and be in nature without anyone around you, which is probably my favorite part about New Zealand, that there's so many bushwalks. Even if you wanted to do every single one of them, you could never do it. Maybe if you lived here your whole life, but it just seems so untouched, even though so many people come through here. And that's what I love about New Zealand. And I'm excited to share more of this with you guys throughout the next couple of months while I'm traveling up through the rest of the South Island and up into the North Island. I just met a really lovely lady while I was swimming down at the beach, and she was teaching me all about the native plants and what you can eat and medicinal purposes of them. So I am now going to go collect what she just taught me all about and see how it does.